first fantasy draft in the new Madden 2023. It's that time of year again. The weather's starting to cool off, football's in the air, so let's get right into it. We're going to start off our fantasy draft right here. Again, this is the first one I'm doing of the new 2023 season, and it looks like we got pick 30. And of course, the team right before us is going to pick the guy that we were hoping to grab for our first round grab in Jonathan Taylor, the back of the future. Of course, we are the Colts, so it would only be right that we get Jonathan Taylor. But since we don't, we're going to get into it. We're looking at kind of the best available here and, just the 99s and high 98s, 97s. But we're going to go to see what quarterbacks are available. Of course, all the young guns are gone, so we're going to go and look at what we could get possibly at running back now that Jonathan Taylor's not there. All very good available on the screen. But Christian McCaffrey, this is the big debate in the fantasy football year this year. Who is the true one-on-one? And I truly think you can't go wrong either or. But here we're just looking at what all positions are available. We're getting quarterback now. They've changed the franchise rules where you could used to be able to get a young quarterback who's just coming into the league pretty late in rounds, but here now they've changed it to where quarterbacks like Trey Lance and Mac Jones are going to be going in the first top 15 picks for sure. So, guys, as time is clicking down, I'm going to go ahead and just select Christian McCaffrey with that first pick. 25 out of 29, so says I didn't reach, says it was a good pick to go with. And our second pick, we're going to see what we have available here. Of course, if we're the Colts, we didn't get Jonathan Taylor, we might as well go get Big Q. So next up, we are going to be looking at some defensive players, really looking for a game changer on this side of the ball. Since we got our run game established, Buda Baker is going to be a great option. I think we go back and look here, though, at Micah Hyde, I believe, or no, not Micah Hyde, Jamal Adams. Both very good young centers. I think they're both 26 and a gold superstar development trait. So just going back to the free safety tab here, strong safety tab here, and since Buda Baker is going to be a 92 overall, he's just got a couple of those more intangibles that Madden's gonna give an award to, so we're gonna take him. Also, with the risk of injury with Jamal Adams, if you are playing in franchise mode, if you have injuries turned on, that's definitely something you want to keep in mind. Going in, this is our fourth pick. Probably going back to defense, but first looking at those quarterbacks because we do not have a quarterback. And like I said, all the good ones that you want normally are going to be gone in the first 15. So here, looking to just get, two on offense, two on defense, and looking at who's best available. You see some people like J.J. Watt there, Fletcher Cox. I think Cam Hayward and Calais Campbell are probably two of the best there on, especially Max Crosby, Danielle Hunter. Good rushing linebackers or defensive linemen, guys that you need. For whatever reason, though, I stumbled upon Roquan Smith. Went ahead and checked him out. 25, Silver Star development, pass coverage. Said we reached at about 26 players ahead of him, but I still think having a young demanding force in your linebacking core is crucial. So the next pick, our fifth overall, still looking at quarterbacks. You see the guy I'm really eyeing here is Jalen Hurts. I just kind of go down the the charts a little bit just to see who starts to be there once you start whittling off the last few good that are there. And just as I plan to do in fantasy football this year, I'm going to go ahead and take Jalen Hurts in my fifth round. Obviously, it's going to say that I reached pretty far, but if you don't go get that quarterback, I think in that first 5, 6, 7 rounds, you're going to be playing with a strictly run game because you're going to have not the best quarterbacks passing the ball unless you want to go with a veteran route where you could always snag someone like Matt Ryan down the line. But here at wide receivers, great wide receivers available: Julio Jones, Jarvis Landry, Allen Robinson. A little bit more of the older wide receivers there, but obviously Hunter Renfrow and Odell, very young. Odell has the injury in real life, but the spectacular catch of a 96 and jumping of a 96 just makes Odell Beckham in franchise mode a no-brainer to pick. It's going to say that I barely reached by about 4 picks. You know, I don't know who the 4 guys that are better than there, but they weren't at wide receiver, that's for sure. So now we got our running back, lineman, wide receiver, Roquan Smith playing linebacker, and Buda Baker at strong safety. Next up, we're going to go kind of add to this offensive line. If Christian McCaffrey is going to be the catalyst in our offense, we really need to make sure that our offensive line is surrounded by people that are going to stay up to the task. So just looking through kind of who's available here. Of course, you're getting to some people that are either old or, are an 80 overall, and that combination is nothing that you want. But I'm going with my guy here. I'm going to look at Corey Lindsey just to see what his age is. I mean, he's 31. He's a pass protector, silver star development trait. But what I'm really going to look at is another fellow Colt and Ryan Kelly. 29 overall, 29 years of age, same overall as Corey Lindsey, about 4 years younger. Go ahead and take the Indianapolis proud guy in Ryan Kelly. So we got Big Q and Ryan Kelly right next to each other, just as the Colts do in real life. But we just got Christian McCaffrey coming out of the backfield this time. Moving down the line, probably just looking at more of the offensive line that's available. Something I notice is whenever you go to look into a player and then you exit out, it takes you all the way back to all positions, which is really annoying. I hope that's something that they fix. But I'm looking there at that top right tackle just for some pass protection. And what I'm seeing is Taylor Morton is the same, but I think same rating, just again, probably 2 years younger on there. And if you're going with offensive line, if there's no difference in the overall, go ahead and take the youth. Someone like Harrison Smith at 33 years old, Adrian Amos at 29. It'd be a great pairing with somebody like Buda Baker in the backfield. Adrian Amos wouldn't have been a bad pick here, but really looking at probably going for more run stopping or puts pressure on the quarterback here. We have a ball hawker. We need somebody that can go ahead and put the pressure on the quarterback. I think none other than that first pick. We just missed him there. We're going to go check out some other people just to see who's available, but we do end up coming right back to Jadeveon Clowney, a former first-round pick, first number 1 overall pick coming out of South Carolina. Could have taken Calais Campbell here or really Everson Griffin. Calais Campbell's obviously just going to be a little bit older, and when you're going for building your top 10 picks, always use the youth in your advantage. So it says I did reach, by about 90 or 80 people, but um, I think Jadeveon Clowney is a freak athlete that's going to be a difference maker in the defense, getting to the quarterback. Here, kind of going through again, just looking at who's best available at the positions that we need. We're going to go ahead and take the right guard here. It says that we reached quite a few spots, but what are you going to do with an 82 overall? He might have been older, but whenever it looks like we have, obviously, Jalen Hurts, a rookie quarterback, he's not going to be great under pressure, and he's not going to have a lot of development factors to get moving, get hot. So a good offensive line protects him, and this further catapults Christian McCaffrey's potential. Right there, we take Denzel Perryman. Again, need somebody to man that middle linebacking core with Roquan Smith. Linval Joseph, a big 82 overall run stopper. You don't want 70s. Anything below an 80 on your offensive or defensive line is going to be a big hole and a big weakness that certain players are going to exploit. Looking at who I have available. You can see on the left side of the screen, I'm kind of looking at the defense of like who I have left at what positions. And I really think a cornerback here is probably going to be a good choice. Brees Callahan is, look at those stats, all green, mostly looking. And that's somebody that can really make a difference. I've had him before. Uh, Cliff Harris, the only bad part about him is that he's old, but he is somebody that you can see has the play recognition and the agility of a 93. So we are, I think, kind of come back to him. We went ahead and went with youth there, as I've been preaching early. Just go ahead and always take the youth if the difference in the overall is marginal, because they will develop quicker, depending on how well you play with them once you get them in there. So they could become that 92 by the end of the season and still be 2 years younger. Interesting here to see Leonard Fournette still available. He's not really an old running back, but he's a great, 90 speed, 92 trucking, 97 carry. He's a great running back to just take a note of, where if you don't go with somebody like a Jonathan Taylor or Christian McCaffrey early, spend the early picks on defensive players and come back and get you someone like Leonard Fournette who's going to run the ball with some power. And he's really a dual threat, being able to have that 97 catching. Here, another youth battle. Jabril Peppers is going to win, taking it. There's obviously older people there who could have been picked in front of him, but we got a pretty good deal on not reaching for him. So Jabril Peppers was an animal in college. He was almost like a Christian McCaffrey himself, doing everything on the field for his college team at Michigan. So we're happy to have him on the squad. Here at tight end, looking at Dalton Schultz and Zach Ertz, I actually go against my own recommendation of taking youth here, mostly just because they're the same size, but the 94 catching is what really solidified it. The tight end gets the ball mostly on outs and short routes in the end zone. So the increased catching of even 4 points is really what's going to be more important for me. Moving through these wide receivers, I'm really just looking for where the new draft pick wide receivers are. You can see I just missed George Pickens there as I'm looking at the speed of these guys. That's how I went ahead and sorted it by speed. And when I saw Robbie Anderson there, 96 speed, he's 29 years old. He's a veteran, and he's an 82 overall. So he's really not going to be a bad pick for what I'm going to use him as doing crossing routes and goes instead of more hot routes and slants. Right here, kind of just going through again best available players at the positions that we're looking for. Kind of going down. You always want to just scroll down a little bit just to see. You don't want to go scrolling down too much because you will end up reaching further then. But a guy like Trey Flowers here, I think the last two Maddens he was an 85 plus. In the recent years, he had won a Super Bowl with the Patriots and then got traded to the Lions, or signed, I should say, free agent signed to Detroit in the Lions. And now, obviously, since he's on the Lions, they're not going to give him as good of a rating, but he's still an animal to get to the quarterback, and he's really a lot better than what a 78, I think, leads on to be. Picking up best available left tackle there again, just making sure that we don't have any blaring, obvious holes and weaknesses on the offensive line. We're going to be doing pretty strict run heavy play action offense with Christian McCaffrey and Jalen Hurts kind of running that offense. So want to make sure we get some good people to give us time to let those plays develop. And like I mentioned, we come back at Chris Harris. Once he's there, and you have 2, 3 other D backs on your squad already. His play recognition, he might be 35 years old, but his play recognition is going to be something that you really can't beat. Even if you only have him for a season or two, he's going to come up with a big play at least once or twice down the line. Here again, scrolling down. You're past this point, you're really reaching. So as you can see, I'm going to scroll back up. Ndamukong Suh, only player that on that board you could see had 90 stats, 90 overall plus stats showing. So again, not going to turn down someone who was a menace in the league for a long time, won a Super Bowl down in Tampa Bay. I think they did pick him up in real life, re-sign him. So Ndamukong Suh is going to be someone that we're not going to play with for a long time, but hopefully we can get what we need out of him. Most of those wide receivers that I was mentioning earlier did get picked there, but we were able to pick another Arkansas guy, Traylon Burks. He's going to be the number one wide receiver in Tennessee this year. He's a big body wide receiver. I think he played at 240 pounds whenever he was at Arkansas. He's 6'3", so he's a great wide receiver to have to develop as a wide receiver 3. Coming back to defensive backs, it's always good to have a lot of depth here because you're going to have, and I pick Xavier Rhodes, a classic veteran. He was on the Colts last year, so they're a little bit biased there, but he's an 80 overall, and he's going to be somebody that covers that slot, that nickel position very well because he is that veteran. He's more of a man-to-man guy than putting him on zone where a normal corner would be. Here, I'm just kind of finishing up with, as you can see, I got most of my starters on offensive defense. You always want to go through all positions and just scroll down. As you can see, I found John Mechie. Going to take him right off the board, another young wide receiver. He's got the intangibles that you want to be able to have to develop through young wide receivers. And if you have John Mechie and Traylon Burks coming up after Robbie Anderson and Odell Beckham, then you at least have the weapons that you should have if running the ball isn't working. Picking up some last minute players, Jamal Williams is just going to be the handcuff to Christian McCaffrey. There is some injury issues that loom over taking Christian McCaffrey, and so you want to make sure you have a good handcuff there. And Jamal Williams, with his catching ability out of the backfield, makes him a good running back to put in the mix with everybody else. As you see here, quarterbacks are now very, very picked apart. You're looking at some 50s and 60s overall. I would hate to be that guy who was a 35 overall, but yeah, Joe Flacco and Cam Newton are the best available there. Cam Newton's going to be a little bit more agile, which is how I prefer to play with my quarterback. So we're going to take him as our backup, and that's going to be most of the starters on offensive defense, going straight to the depth chart to see what we ended up with. So Jalen Hurts going to be our starting quarterback. Cam Newton, the backup, both mobile. Christian McCaffrey is going to be our star running back. We'll see most of the workload in this offense, but we do have some good guys to back him up just in case in Jamal Williams and then Devontae Freeman. At wide receiver, as I just mentioned, Odell, Robbie Anderson. We did pick up Philip Dorsett, which will be an automatic drop. As you can see here, I am moving him to the bottom of the depth chart. That is a Colts biased, kind of a hate against Philip Dorsett. But Zach Ertz, and then you see I was worried about the age of Zach Ertz, but as you saw there, went and got a rookie tight end. The computer fantasy draft finish it up, giving me a tight end. They thought the youth was needed there too. Here you can see the defense: Clowney, Sue, Linval Joseph, and Trey Flowers are going to be mostly man, and then Roquan and Denzel Perryman. And here in this part, I speed it up a little bit just because I realized that I don't want, once you get to the sub outside linebacker, these positions all look good. Corner, have 3 corners that are going to take the XB and slot wide receiver, Jabril Peppers and Budda Baker for anything deep. And then, of course, you have Philip Dorsett. We're going to take him and move him out of the lineup. And again, I always go with the fastest guy. There you saw it was Robbie Anderson, but I'm not going to start put one of my starting wide receivers in at kick return or punt return. It's just way too much of a liability to get injured. So just take this no-name wide receiver, 96 speed, move him up there. Christian McCaffrey going to stay as our third down back. Slot wide receiver will be a battle probably all season between Traylon Burks and John Mechie. We want Traylon Burks to be that wide receiver, but sometimes in schemes, the smaller, faster wide receiver in the slot is a little better. And here you can see Roquan Smith is for some reason my right rushing in. And we just basically go through here, switch all that up so that we can put Trey Flowers at the left rushing end. And then I believe we bring up Jadeveon Clowney to the left outside linebacker so that it ends up being from left to right on the offensive line. Trey Flowers, Linval Joseph, and Ndamukong Suh. Linebackers being Jadeveon Clowney, Denzel Perryman, and Roquan Smith. So that's just what I'm doing through here. on there and switch to Xavier Rhodes to cover that slot wide receiver. Now that we got our guys, let's go see how we do.